Alright, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. It's an early morning video for me today. I already put out a community post regarding this topic on my other channel, but I figured I'd go ahead and do a dedicated video about this because it is kind of blowing up, and the more attention that gets shown on this, I think the better. But yeah, Sony has started adding DRM to any digital purchases made on PlayStation. This includes PS4 and PS5. And I saw a lot of misinformation or misunderstandings online regarding this. People thinking that this is like, oh, this is regarding PlayStation Plus or something else. You know, it's not. This is digital purchases, okay? And people are saying that like, oh, well, I can't. This doesn't show up on my PS5. That's because just because it doesn't show up on PS5 does not mean it's not in place on PS5. It does, however, show up on PS4. If you go to the information regarding any digital purchases, and from what I've heard, this started any new digital purchases that you've made in like late March or anytime in April, this is applied. That's what I've heard. I haven't bought any digital games on PlayStation since January, and after this shit has been put into place, even if they fix this quote-unquote glitch, I have decided I am done with buying digital games on PlayStation. I mean, they've been making bad decision after bad decision, and this is what happens when Sony gets arrogant. This is the kind of shit that they do. They start doing anti-consumer practices, and they start making bad decisions because they think they're untouchable. You know, this is what happens when we don't have competition in the market. This is the kind of shit that happens. They start getting arrogant. We get the arrogant Sony. That's what happens. They just start doing whatever they want. They don't care about the consumer. You know, they make anti-consumer practices like this. And you know, some people might be wondering, like, well, this isn't a big deal. You know, you just have to make sure your console is connected. Like, don't you have internet? Right? Don't you have internet? Not a big deal. Just make sure you sign in once every 30 days. The issue is, especially for PS4, it's even more of an issue, really, that eventually these servers are going to be offline, you know, and it's not like this is just in your face. You wouldn't know about this unless you were made aware of this by use of a video or something. And if you've already made a purchase within the last 30 days, then I guess you're kind of screwed. That video game is going to end up being just removed from your library if and when like the servers eventually go down on PS4 and PS5. So let's say, for example, you bought a bunch of digital games. You didn't start buying games digitally until April of this year. You bought a bunch of digital games, you know, throughout April, throughout the rest of this year. And then let's say, you know, 4 years down the road, they decide we're no longer going to support PlayStation Network on PS4. So any of your digital purchases that you've made on PS4, you cannot play them on your PS4 anymore. You just lose access to all your games. So you're telling me that games that you purchased, games that you bought, you're just going to lose access to it? If at any point they take the servers for PlayStation Network on PS4 down, you're going to lose your digital library of games. Now, from what I've been told, this does not apply retroactively. So any games purchased before March, basically, do not apply. This does not apply. And the funny thing is when I recently turned on my PlayStation 5, you know, a few days ago, I was greeted to a new terms of service update. I guarantee this is probably part of it to put this kind of bullshit in place. And now Sony's, I really think this is funny. Sony's response is that, oh, this is just a glitch, because now that it's blowing up in their face, a lot of people are really pissed off about it. They're claiming that it's a glitch. This person talks about, I like how people aren't falling for it. But this person put in parentheses, this glitch is exposing PSN again. He says, I'm so done with this shit. Yeah, so I find it funny. I found it ironic, really, that, you know, 13 years ago with the launch of PS4, Sony was making fun of Microsoft for their anti-consumer practices and putting all this digital rights management stuff in place. Now, here we are 13 years later, they're doing the exact same shit that they were making fun of Microsoft for. They're doing the exact same shit. The thing is, they don't want you to own your games. They don't want you to own anything. They want you to own nothing and be happy. So they want to be able to break into your house and take away your games. You know, it sounds stupid, but that's kind of how it is, you know? Because this is the equivalent of them coming into your house and just saying, you know what, we know you purchased these games, 10 years ago, but you know what, we decided that we don't want you to have access to this anymore. So we're just going to take it back now. That's what this is. That's what DRM is. Like, that's... It sounds stupid, but that's exactly how it works. At any point in time, if they decide they don't want to support PlayStation Network on PS4 anymore, and they shut the servers off, what are you going to do? Doesn't matter if you have internet or not at that point. You can't connect to the server. Therefore, once this expires, well, you can't start your game anymore. Sucks to be you. This is the kind of reasons why piracy. I don't care if people pirate their games. Because when you have corporations doing greedy shit like this, how can you blame people for pirating their games? This is the kind of stuff we're doing. This is the kind of era we're living in where corporations are going to try and decide when they don't want you to have access to your stuff that you bought anymore. Then they need to change. If they're going to do stuff like this, they need to change the term purchase or buy. They need to say lease or rent. Because you're not buying the game. If you can take it away at any time, isn't that theft? And this is why I always like to say, if buying isn't owning, then piracy isn't stealing. Because it's true. This is ridiculous, man. So I just wanted to rant about that real quick. Absolutely insane move by Sony here for trying to do this. We'll see if they fix this quote-unquote glitch. How ironic. Someone had to have programmed this menu. Like, you don't just, we have a valid period start date, a valid period end date, and then a functioning timer, which tells you how much time you have left before, like, the check-in needs to revalidate the purchase. Yeah, I don't think this is a glitch. I think this is more likely what happened is that there's a lot of backlash towards Sony for this, rightfully so. And now Sony is backtracking on this. So we'll see what happens going forward. But either way, I'm done. I'm not buying any more games digitally after this. So anyways, I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. What's going on with that. Absolutely insane. But with that being said, you guys take care, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.